We are YOM. We were founded to solve the two hardest challenges to cloud gaming, cost and speed. Our solution was to build a decentralized GPU network focused on eliminating latency and drastically reducing costs. This is what we've done. YOM has built the first game-focused decentralized network that allows AAA games to be playable on any screen through your web browser. We now have the technology on which to build the 3D internet with immersive e-commerce, 3D social media, virtual events, and so much more beyond cloud gaming. Come find out more at www.yom.oo. We are YOM, the game-focused decentralized network empowering the world's creative future.
It's like that professional job of seeing me bring the volume up and seeing all the cursor movement going on. Pretty nice, huh?
I was going to say you wasted in this job, mate. You should be a studio manager or something. I don't know.
Eventually, I'm going to have all the kinks worked out, and these town halls are going to go off very smooth. It's going to be all kinds of easy, but again, it's not where I'm really making my bread and butter, is it?
Do you know what I would say is actually we're going to go the other way, right? We're going to have 5 people. We're going to have a sound engineer. We're going to have blah, blah, blah. It's all going to be run without us having to touch anything. They just go, Mr. Pringle, here's your headphone as I run in from something, put the headphone in, you know. It's that kind of, have you seen Tony Robbins? You've seen the Tony Robbins stuff where he has all the people. Yeah. So he bounces on his the tiny trampoline thing, and then he runs straight out, and that's how it's going to be for us. I think.
Yeah, I think I missed the bootleg version that we're doing right now, the bootstrap version we're doing right now. I kind of like that we're still strapped up from the very beginning. Actually, so a couple of things we're going to talk about today, and we are vamping a little bit as we wait for people to file in and find us, right? To find the streams, and we should be streaming on YouTube and Twitter both. But we're going to talk about what it's like to be part of startup life, because I'm not as versed in it as you are. Again, you did a lot of studio time, and you've done more startups than I have. And then I think we'll give a product update, obviously, and let everyone know all the different exciting things that have happened, because this has been kind of a banner week for us at we kind of beat the milestone in some respects. And then we got questions, because we got some people who dropped some questions into the chat for us. But that's kind of.
And I was going to say, ping any other questions you get as you're coming in. You want to know the answers to, ping in. Obviously, we've got a hard stop at an hour, but obviously before that we can fill out time if we need to answering questions, or we can cut early. So yeah, feel free to post stuff in.
And the reason we try to cut it off in an hour is because people don't click on YouTube videos that go longer than an hour. They just don't, right? Unless they're Joe Rogan or somebody like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't even click on his if it was more than an hour, to be honest. Did you?
They've got. Well, he's got Kelly and Casey Means on this week, which is two people that Kelly is very fond of with the health consciousness stuff. Yeah, you probably like them too. Actually, you should probably listen in.
What are they called? It's not the long distance runner, is it?
No,
the lady.
This is a brother.
Is she the?
No, it's a brother and sister who are all about fixing the broken food system in the States. You guys don't have as much of the problem in Europe as we have in the States with our food being terribly broken. Yeah. But these two are out to fix it, and
that's great. Yeah, when we had Brexit, one of our biggest fears was American food being shipped over, because enzymes injected into chickens and all that kind of stuff. Anyway. Bit of a diversion, aren't we?
Yeah, we'll get to the cold plunge and all that stuff too at some point. Yeah. So startup life, I just thought we'd started this because I don't know how many people are interested in the concept of you and I came on board. We're more new to this than you're in the tech team, right? They've been at it for a while. We came on at the beginning of the year because you and I had worked separately together. Yep. My project and your project were teamed up for that year and a half beforehand, before we found your but then we found him and found out what YOM could do and redirected the company. But I don't know if you want to my big thing about this startup life is I'm gaining weight because I'm not getting exercise like I used to. I'm working 12 days at 12 hours a day at the computer and all. I don't get to go to the gym like I used to. But I mean, there's more to it, I'm sure.
There is. But my favorite phrase about startup or entrepreneur's life is you only work 1 hour as an entrepreneur, and it's every hour. Yeah. And that's it. And I think it's interesting. when people go from a corporate life into, and I've only actually ever spent about 2 years, 18 months. No, actually I lie. I spent 2 years at the independent newspaper, which is it's a middle of the road UK newspaper. It's the only independent newspaper in the UK. And then I spent 4 years in recruitment, but then that was it. So for the last 20 odd years, I've been building businesses, running divisions, doing bits, but always my own thing. And I think before, it's funny actually, before the days of iPhones and Blackberries, you'd still, even if you were in your own business, you go home at night time and you might have 1 or 2 calls to do, but that would be it, And now, obviously, with the technology that we've got, there's it's a 7-day a week, 24 hours a day. You could easily start work at 5 in the morning, and we do sometimes. Obviously, we start at 5 in the morning, and you finish
5 in
at
the morning. That would be a
1.
luxury.
Yeah, sorry, that's me starting at 5 my time, and then working through till 1 a.m., 11 a.m., 11 p.m. rather, whatever the kind of stuff is. But I think, look, the way I see startups and entrepreneurialism, it's almost like a war of attrition. Yeah. And there's a kind of resilience that needs to be built in people to ensure that they can keep going every time they can keep getting kicked. And I think, if you look at, you've got it, tons of it. Jorit's got it, tons of it. I think I've got it as well. And I think there's something around each time you deal with a bear market, or each time you deal with, struggles, you've got 2 options, right? You either give up or you man up and basically get on with it again. And I think that this is one of the things I think that defines YOM and everybody in the business, Jorit in particular, is we've got this resilience to keep going. And I think you have to do that within a startup environment. It's a given.
Yeah, I think, for many years I was trying to chase after it. And again, I have my own little studio that does, the animation stuff that we do. But it was really, for me, a fed upness. Like, I stayed mostly in independent studios for most of my career, but there was some time that I spent like at Oculus and at EA. And every time I got into those larger organizations, they're not nimble, and the decisions come from on far, and you can't understand why they're making the decisions they're making. And it's to me, it was just always very gross. I'm a bit, I guess, control freakish, where I want to be close to the decision making, and this is part of what entrepreneurship has kind of been for me. Is now I get to be in the room where decisions are made, and not that I make the right ones every time, but at least I'm there when they're happening, right? I get to understand what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. But look, the day that anyone thinks they make the right decisions every single time is the day that they need to stop being an entrepreneur and go and work for someone else. Because, to be frank, the idea about this is about making mistakes, but it's, what do they say? Fail hard, fail fast.
Fail fast. Yeah.
There's not a point about, struggling on with things. But I think it's been a really interesting, situation. I mean, obviously we were working all the way through 2023 together, and then, in a related sector to YOM, and we were looking to build on YOM. So when the fact that YOM was, it came around that we could actually come into YOM, it made complete sense. And this is where I think it's a natural progression for you and me, but it's also a nice new start generally for YOM. And I think that the 10 months that we've really been going, because it is 10 months at the end of the day, from a zero standing start to where we are today has been, it's been brilliant. It's been a great kind of baptism of fire, but it's been good fun.
And we didn't have to do it this way too, right? When you and I first, were talking to Yard about bringing YOM back up again, we could have done the same thing that they started to do, right? I remember having this discussion.
Yeah.
Do we go back to making metaverse spaces and build up that large team while we're trying to develop the DePIN? And I advocated for the lower risk play, which has a higher upside to it, is to solely focus on the delivery system and not try to make the content also, because the content, first of all, making the content also means much larger staff, and you really greatly reduce the runway. But the other idea of it was, I said this, I might have said this in the last town hall, but I've been on plenty of projects that were great games. I mean, they were great games in development, and you work for several months on them, and all of a sudden you get close to the ship date, and the publisher decides they don't want to push it out there after all, like that happened to me on the Batman game. Or you get out to the marketplace, but you get out there just as somebody else releases their hot title and your title fails. And there's so much risk in the creative content. And I take my hat off to every studio that's able to pull it off and do it for years and years. And we can talk a little bit about some of the studios we've been talking to lately. But for us, the lower risk play is to to sell the picks and the shovels, right? Not try to dig the gold
Totally,
ourselves.
mate. That's the point. It's picks and shovels, and I think that's where people need to think about. It's interesting when you were saying that. I mean, obviously, we're not going to mention names at the moment, but the business that we're talking to for the third time on Monday, which is a
Yeah.
4 billion
Tuesday.
market cap gaming Tuesday gaming company. You know, the interesting thing that that guy said is, I was talking to him back in Gamescom, and he was sort of saying, look, you put all your eggs in one basket. If you're successful with that, which could be, I don't know, Call of Duty, could be Assassin's Creed, could be blah blah blah. You do really well. But if that tanks for whatever reason, as you say, that's it, you're dead. Whereas the people are providing the infrastructure, the game engine, and this is where I think Unreal or Epic rather have got it as a really good idea. They're tooling other businesses as well as obviously making their own games. And when you're tooling, it's the same as we are. It's picks and shovels. It's basically if the project goes well, brilliant, they make lots of money. If the project goes badly, they still make money. And that's where you've got to be.
And one area that we're targeting, right, with the YOM network is, if you look at Steam, which again we feel that we're more complementary than competing with Steam. But Steam, if you look at the amount of games that they put out, there's a long tail, right? There's those games that do very, very well, and then it's a very sharp kind of bend down, and then there's a lot of games that try to launch and just don't get the notice, don't get the downloads. And what we're talking about with the YOM network, right, is we're allowing games to put their developers, independent developers, and people who are just making their own game content for fun because they like working with Unreal, to drop it on our network at almost no cost and be able to send those links around as a URL, as opposed to having to go into a single funnel and get a subscription or download the game. So how fast we can take that tail of all those other games that are in Steam and rise them up and get them noticed a lot easier. I think that's just gonna be it's gonna be a great time to be a creator when we get the network live.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think it's almost, I mean, obviously we can go into the Roblox kind of scenario in a bit, but Roblox made their money. It wasn't designed for professional creators. It was designed for kids making their own games. And I think that's what we're enabling it. Without Epic, an Unreal Engine, we wouldn't be able to do it, obviously. But with the marketplace and such, like, I mean, one of the games that we'll have, we probably can't give access to everyone at the moment, but the game, is live, and there is a game which you can play, which is running, for the moment, on one of our nodes.
You're giving our product update away.
I know. I'm sorry. I realized I was saying that. But the point being is that the logic here is that as soon as you've got the gaming market, which is big, then you've got the animation market, which is big, then you've got the social media market, which is crazily big. And then when people can actually build games like, the one which we've got going at the moment, which is one of the guys that I've known for a very long time. He was on a project with me previously, Luke. He's done, and he's been helping out on YOM obviously as well. But, he's done brilliantly. This game he's made, I mean, I'm not very good at it, by the way, Jeff. And I saw that you got 2,000 points and I got 900. But I'll keep playing it until I win. Nothing like competition there. But no, it's good.
Going back to that user-generated thing, I do like to tell a story that, and I've told it in a lot of the investor meeting calls, right, that my daughter's friend's younger sister. So my daughter's, this is like we're talking about a 7-year-old girl now, who she's homeschooled. Granted, she's a bit smarter than most kids, but she's using Unreal because she can use the tool suite that they've made available to kids or people, really, to any developers. She's using that tool suite, and she uses a little bit of AI, and she's able to make, I don't know, I've never played any of the games, so I can't speak to the quality of them. But if you're talking about someone that young can make their own content, the next step is, give them a place that they can upload and get to as many people as possible.
Yeah. I mean, to give you an idea, I mean, we joke, don't we? I'm first line support. So it's like, can you turn your PC on? Can you turn it off again? Can you do blah, blah, blah? But, from a technical perspective, I understand the basis of it. But, I can open Unreal. I can upload an avatar into Unreal, and I can make that avatar move in Unreal. Now, again, when you look at it, all you've got to do is watch YouTube videos, and you can actually do it yourself.
Yeah.
So it'd be really interesting to see if a lot of the Yommies out there, start building their own content, start looking at the Unreal Engine marketplace, start getting things ready.
That's what I'm
for the next step.
pushing my son into. I said, just If you're bored, well, then get in there and start doing some Unreal tutorials. It's free to do, and you should get smarter at this stuff because we're going to have a network for you to put your stuff out on pretty soon. So,
yeah, that's it. Well, maybe that'll be it. Maybe instead of YouTube influencers, it'll be YOMI influencers.
I
And they'll be
totally
building
expect that to
games.
be the case. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's good.
All right, so let's talk about the product because I'm sure people are going to want to know what it is we're on about. Why are we so excited? What was the milestone? So we had a milestone that was supposed to be the end of this month. We actually kind of hit it a little bit early, which is good, right? Gives us some time to refine it some more. But we now have it's closed, so sorry we can't share the link just yet. That's actually the next step. But we have the game, the sample game running live on the website and in Telegram, and we can send that around to investors and to partners and to demonstrate that we're running off of a node. It doesn't cost us anything now to run it as opposed to, putting it up on an Amazon server and paying money every month to Amazon. So big step for us, and it's been pretty cool. I don't know if you want to talk, glowingly about that for a little bit.
Can I give a little bit of, so basically, well, actually, there's an interesting bit here, isn't there? Clicking it through. So one of the bits that we're looking at is this kind of transmedia model, and YOM effectively engages and creates the ability for people to do transmedia, which is linking from animation through to gaming, through to comics, through to whatever. And Unreal is the linking platform between it, and I think the game's quite a cool game. It's basically a zombie wave game, but it's customized to specific animation avatars, and this is where this again gets really kind of mad. You imagine I don't know, The Simpsons is built in. So I don't know if you know, but The Simpsons has got an episode which is done in 3D and is built in Unreal. And you can get the point where the Simpsons episode with all the characters in it, you could have the game which links straight through, and you could have Homer chasing Bart, and you've got to basically chase him for X amount of time, and you do it. But again, the reason I'm saying that is because this is actually linked and where we have this set up already.
For the game developers, right? So for the game developers or the animation studios, what it means is they have to build one set of assets, and that same set of assets can be used both in the animated series and in the game. Right, and we've proven this too with our other partner. So this has been two partners, I guess. So it's been super. It's a massive cost savings, and again, it only works because we can use Unreal, the engine, as a backbone for this. And then those assets can also be used, as you're saying, for like toy manufacturers and for other media. But that transmedia play is another important aspect of what we're providing, because with the YOM network, we can stream through streaming services, right? Through Netflix and Roku and all those things. So you're in Netflix, you're watching an episode that's, of an animated series that's been built inside of Unreal, and then you end up playing the game while you're still on Netflix, and the characters look like the same as they did from the animated series.
Yeah, and even to the point beyond that, where you can play the game. If you win the game, you then go back, watch the next episode in Netflix, and if you win the game, it's a different episode than if you lose the game, and you might get Easter eggs hidden in the animation. So this is where this linking of media becomes cyclical. This is not a division between animation. It is a division between animation, video games, merch, etc. But with Unreal Engine and what we're doing at the moment, it's enabling to pull all those things together. And this is where I think you get, we joke about, don't we? It's the Facebook story. So Facebook have raving fans. Yeah. And the reason they got so many people joining Facebook is because everybody started sending out saying, listen, I'm a member of Facebook, you should join. And then you get this FOMO where people are like, hold on, I need to join Facebook because, this is obviously our generation, Jeff, probably not the 19-year-olds that maybe are watching us. But I think there's that we are this next generation. And again, there's a bit we're going to get into in a bit about our conversations with Epic. But the bit they get most excited about is this transmedia. It's this adaptability across the space. And this is what YOM does. It's not, we're not trying to build Unreal Engine content. We're not trying to build Unreal Engine games. But what we are is we're the connective tissue that fits between the two.
Right. But I also don't want to leave behind the original YOM vision from back before we were here, right? Was about creating spaces, interactive spaces for brands and letting those brands get into the thinking there was, and we've talked to a lot of studios that do this work, right? Was that brands are trying to reach the younger demographic in order to get ready to sell them things as they get older, which, it's good or bad. That's what That's what marketing does, right? And they were using games as a way to do it because no one watches. My kid doesn't watch TV anymore, right? He barely goes to the
Yep.
movies. All he really does is games and YouTube. So
Totally.
So all these brands realize that the way to reach these kids is half the way to reach them is through games. So they were doing things like Fortnite levels or Roblox levels that are brand focused, and that's all well and good, except for Roblox, you can't get the graphics designed to look as nice as you need to look, right? But regardless, in both of those cases, they can't monetize those experiences. All they can really do is advertise and hope that you go and find the Nike website after you've played the Nike game inside of Fortnite. But what we sold them on, or what the original YOM's team sold them on, was the idea that make a brand experience and put it up on the Nike.com website, right? Just put it on the Nike.com website. Then you got people going to your website to play the game. And once the game's living on the website, scroll down the page and now you're doing the purchases, or you can take the rewards from winning the game level and convert those into discount codes so they can buy they play the game enough, you get that item for a cheaper price. So all that selling thing, that worked a lot. I mean, we've got a company out in where are they, in the UAE, who are working with us on that product already.
Yeah. It is UAE. It was actually, obviously it's UAE, but it's Dubai. They've got 3 or 4 different tier 1 projects that they're kind of talking to. But again, look, I think there's a bit here as well where Fortnite, great, but it's enclosed. You have to download Fortnite. You have to go to their Steamish platform and
you have to have
play the game.
If
I saw Hugo Boss had just done some stuff recently, right? If I'm Hugo Boss, why if I'm a Hugo Boss customer, I'm not going to go to Fortnite to go and do stuff. I'm just not. And Louis Vuitton did Roblox. I'm like, how's that going to work? Unless you're planning on building the relationships with the Roblox kids over the next 10 years and basically being the number 1 handbag manufacturer or whatever you're looking for. But again, I think that this is where YOM's going to win, is because we're getting people today and enabling them to get in, and actually see people, and it's ease of use and ease of download, etc.
Yeah. You put a good stat in there, right? The average gamer is 38 years old. They're not kids, right?
And they're affluent, and they're not. They're playing games for fun. You start talking about, I'm going to send you advertising, I'm going to do this. They're not interested. If it takes more than 3 seconds to link through, then they're not going to do it. All
right. Do we get to everything in the update? So the game. Just recapping again, the game is live. We're able to send out the link. They can also send the link in Telegram. It's a short experience. We can only, the reason why we can't. Okay, that's what I want to touch on. So that got us to this milestone quickly. But then, of course, the big piece is, can we get it live so that everybody, all of our community can start playing it and see what we mean by playing through a URL with low latency. To do that, there's a couple more pieces that have to happen. And this is where our current milestone is, and maybe this actually happens before the end of October too. We should expect it probably could. So it's a simple orchestrator that says, okay, this node is closest, this end user is closest to this node, so use that node for that end user. That's one piece, and then the other piece is the queuing system that says, okay, this node can handle, because we won't have a full set of nodes out there running, right? This node can handle 4 sessions. Your number is 5, so you have to wait, for that session to end, so you can come in and play. But when either one of those 2 things is up and running, we can probably release it out to the community and let them play it. And so hopefully,
I'm just wondering, actually, there's 2 bits of competition I think that we should have. I'm going to add another competition. Jeff's probably like, what's that competition? The second one, because obviously, don't forget, Jeff. What time is it where you are at the moment? Like
it's about 12:30, so I can't be drinking. I know the suggestion was we sit and have a drink while we have this conversation. That he's doing so.
So one of the competitions is going to be you have to guess what beer I'm drinking, and anyone who posts it in the community chat, the winner will award them some extra YOM. I'll send them some. But I wonder also if there's a bit around whoever in the community wants to test run the game, they can post in there, and we can prioritize those people in the space to let them have a go on it. I think that, again, this is the point around people actually having a go on the game. We get the leaderboard set up, which is there.
We could do that with this current version, right? How you say that? We could just, so long as we control the traffic to it, because what we don't want to do is we don't want to have people in our community playing it while we're trying to show it to an investor and have the investor have to wait, right?
I'm just
So
thinking
there's a
as well,
little
and
trick
maybe we
too.
do it after this weekend, because obviously one thing we
Yeah.
didn't tell you guys about updates and stuff like that. You know, we've got. I mean, you could probably search on this. If I might be a little bit more, I
Go
might
be
be a
more
little bit
vague.
wider in my description. Yeah, a bit
Yeah.
vaguer. Okay, in the top 5 gaming companies in the world are test running the game on Sunday. So basically, it's the CEO is having a go. So really, we can't share it before Sunday anyway. But again, you know, after that, I think we definitely, why not? Let's people have a go. You know, maybe there's a point here where we say to the community, look, why don't you share your videos of who got the highest? Let's have a little bit of a competition maybe next
Well,
weekend.
we do it in Telegram. Telegram captures the highest score, doesn't it?
But yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Is maybe next weekend we say, right, between Friday and Sunday, there's a prize, you know, for whoever gets highest results.
Yeah.
You know, we can
Yeah.
let people have a go.
Yeah, we could. And it's just a matter again that everyone just hits after the sessions are all full. We just kind of sit and wait, but maybe that's part of the contest. All right, let's
Yeah.
talk about that this week. Let's figure out what that's going to be.
I think it'd be
See what
fun.
we can-
It'd be really nice, because I think also the thing for people to bear in mind is this is getting run in Telegram. So it's inside Telegram. It's not outside, which means that Telegram are not going to have any problems with it. It means the same with Netflix. Netflix are not going to be, you know, you're not taking people away from their mediums, which is one of the biggest problems they always have with this kind of thing. So it's running in Telegram. It's running on one of our nodes, and it's a AAA quality visual game. Okay. Now, just to be clear, it's not a AAA game, because you know
It's using a AAA engine.
it's been
It
built
looks
by Lick.
nice.
Yeah, I mean, it
I
looks
like it.
great,
It's
doesn't
fun.
it?
And
Yeah,
I mean, we purposely
and
made
our
it short.
partners. Yeah.
Right. I think we made it. I think it's like 3 or 4 minutes to complete, right? Because there's only 4 waves of zombies, and it's competitive enough that you can die in the second, third wave, right?
Well, I
So yeah,
didn't even
let's
make
talk
it
about how
that
we do
far.
that.
I'm not even past the first wave yet, Jeff. I'm not sure
Seriously?
how I got 910 and you got 2,300 if I didn't make it past the first wave.
Oh, I made it. I made it all the way into like the 4th wave. I think I got killed in the 4th wave. That's how I have
Did
the
you?
high score.
Has anyone finished it? No one's finished it so far, have they?
I have finished it. I finished it when I was in Singapore a number of
Did
times.
you?
I mean,
Okay.
it's not that hard. Maybe you really are bad at games. You switch off the shotgun and get to the ray gun. The ray gun's better anyway.
What? I didn't even know there was a ray gun. That's the problem. So I'm going with a
Oh,
shotgun.
yeah,
Okay,
you
all
can't do
right.
it the whole
I'm
thing
done.
with a shotgun.
I'm done.
You probably
Okay,
know the
all
hard
right.
way. All right.
Yeah, perfect.
And I did have a note here to talk about this too, but so the competitive funnel, the business strategy, like so, you know, we talk oftentimes about you know, we comparatively to Steam, like we're in the Epic Store,
Yeah.
we don't necessarily see ourselves as competing with them, right? Because you can certainly see a case where you go to the Steam store, and if you want to, if you're looking at a game that you're interested in, instead of hitting the click and download, you click to play the sample online, and then you just
Yeah.
go to the website and you play the game online to get a taste of what it is, and then from there you can decide to download or not, right? Which is
That's brilliant.
a great commercial.
Yeah.
The best commercial ever for a game is to play a demo of it. So we
Well,
make that nice.
imagine it's like when we were talking to the CEO of the gaming company last week. You know, part of the thing he said is it's like PC World. You would get the front of it with a CD on it. You know, I don't know. It'd be really interesting to find the conversion rates between that CD, people testing it and doing it. But you know, I had a ZX Spectrum in the old days, and I would definitely get that tape. I'd play 2 episodes of the game, and then I convinced my mum to go down the shop and we'd buy the full game. You know,
Right.
because you'd enjoy it. That's what it was about. And it was about, you know, would I have gone and spent my pocket money obviously on the full game straight away? Probably not. And what are games now? $40 to $60, you know?
Yes, easy.
You know, we can all spend $40 to $60, but you don't want to waste your money. Throwing money away is not relevant, you know, is not a point. I imagine this funnel system, you're going to, you know, you could even double the size of your sales just by doing this. I imagine. Right. I'd like to check the stats out, actually.
Yeah. So, and then I don't mean I don't necessarily want to throw shade at the other gaming DePINs, but I do kind of want to stand out. The difference that we have is that we have yet to see any other gaming DePIN structure that does what we're doing. You know, setting up a network that streams it to any URL or inside of any service. Most of them are trying to build a platform that you have to go to, basically a Steam for Web3, which is kind of silly. I think that you once again centralizing everything. Or they're trying to sell hardware to the end user, which also, to my mind, doesn't make much sense because we want the end users to have as much access as possible. We're trying to throw the gates open to to everybody we can throw the gates open to. Forcing the end user to put up more money just doesn't make sense.
Do you know, I'm going to flip it a very little bit. I sort of understand in the pre-Telegram, pre-Netflix, pre kind of you know, Hugo Boss wanting hugoboss.com/game kind of environment why you would do a Steam, because you want that footfall coming, you know, and that's the whole argument about going on Fortnite or whatever. But I think actually this is a game changer with the Telegram piece, is because, you know, even though I wouldn't go to, you know, Steam or whatever, download the game, you know, there is an argument where people would say, well, actually, there's a footfall coming for it. For my game, there's a footfall. Whereas now with the Telegram posting, the you know, the URL posting, there's an argument that, or not an argument, there's a point where imagine how many people you've got on YouTube versus Steam. You know, 25 people on Steam, you know, go in, look at 500 games and do one of them. Yeah. YouTube, it's not unusual for YouTube to have 10 million views, is it? So, you know, we've got it's a different way of marketing. And I think sometimes people just potentially need to, you know, get their heads around, okay, and again, you know, I'm going to relate back to the guy that we're talking to on Tuesday. You know, he's a visionary within the gaming space. And I think when people see it, you know, then it becomes like, right, okay, this makes complete sense how you're doing it from my perspective.
Yeah. All right. I think we got through all the notes. Yeah. Anything I'm missing? You're looking at the notes too.
No. Yeah. I mean, there was a couple of things. The only thing, there's one thing I was going to say that was in the notes. I was going to talk actually about Singapore, just very briefly. I know you spoke about it last week, but I was going to say one of the things that I've noticed is within the gaming space. So we were at Gamescom, and we were in Valencia. I was in Valencia twice, actually. I was there last week, and I was in Valencia for a gaming conference, you know, probably about 3 months ago. And in Singapore, when you go to these places, all of a sudden they open up a massive new connections. You know, you walk along and there's the head of, you know, a large gaming company's Web3 business. You go there, and I'm going to talk about some of the stuff. One of the questions we had from the community, actually, from 17, which was a good one, actually. You know, you go to these events, and effectively it becomes an accumulative process. You know, we were in Dubai, then we were at Gamescom, then we're at Valencia, then we're at Valencia again, then we're at Singapore. You know, we're going to be at other things later in the year. This is where the kind of the excitement gets. You know, when you get to the third time of meeting these people, and they're like, "Yeah, we love YOM." You know, I think that's where we get this hockey stick kind of scenario.
Well, as you're saying, you know,
that was it, really.
For branding and everything, what they say, you got to see the brand 7 times before it sinks into your memory, right? So, and I've definitely noticed it too. But you've missed out. You also missed out Austin and
Austin,
Nashville, and Boston, right? Those. So we've been in a lot of places this year between the two of us.
We have, yeah. I was only thinking of the places I went to. It was solo, but yeah.
And we missed Permission List was this weekend in Salt Lake City. I didn't get to go to that one. So,
well, funny enough, Zebu was obviously today, and I was like, I just can't go to anymore. I spend like 2 days traveling every week. You just don't get any work done. That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah. Guys, we should say hello to Nolan. Hey, Nolan, thanks for joining in.
Yeah, I was going to say, hey, Nolan.
So all right, now we do have a stack of questions. We should go through these questions that we got, right? So the Google program, curiosity about like how do we get into the Google program? How do we find it? What is it useful for? What do we plan to do with it? So you want to let everyone know how we found it, because it was you who found us the way there.
It's a really, so this is a typical example, isn't it? We were in Singapore, and Google had a stand. And to be honest, I had to go back to stand 3 times to actually get to speak to the right guy, because each time he was away or he was talking to someone else or whatever the case was. But we met again. This is the thing: you go to these places, you meet people face to face, sending messages, sending emails. It has some impact, but it's not the killer impact. So I basically spent about 30 minutes chatting to the head of Web3 for Google. And obviously the first piece was, look, you know, we've got this great product. You should buy into us. You know, you should look to do this. And the point he came back, he said, well, look, you know, we're really picky on who we deal with. We're not, you know, we don't accept everyone. You know, it's probably unlikely to happen. He gave me the example. He recommended I think it was a gaming company, but it was basically 3 billion turnover. And the Google investment team just didn't even respond to the email. And that's 3 billion turnover. That's how big Google is, and that's what they obviously think. But the interesting bit was we had a really good chat. He loved the product. He said, this is amazing. It's a game changer. It's perfect. He said, then, right, look, apply. And then you're going to have to go through a few hoops, which we applied and we did. He said, look, message me. And then, you know, obviously I'll talk to the guys. If we think we can make it work, we think we do something interesting, then we'll make it happen. Literally, the application went in. I messaged him. And within about 2 hours, he said, right, we're approved. Yeah. And it was crazy. But he bought into it, but he loved it. He was like, this is great. We need this on our program. We need to be dealing with you guys. We need to be partnering with you. You know, actually, funny enough, we had, I don't know if you know this, we had the account manager chasing us to have a conversation. So there's some really interesting bits within it. It's, you know,
so we've met with them once.
Recommendations. Sorry, go on.
Well, we met with them once,
with her,
and they wanted, yeah, we did. And then they wanted to have a follow-on conversation. The person we met with was not their technical person. They were just, I guess, the initial meeting person. But the technical person's getting on with our tech team next week, the end of next week, to talk about what we're going to do. But the way that we would use them is the same way that we would use other middle layer solutions for us. That is, you know, for areas in the world where we don't have nodes sold off into, but we still want to be able to reach them for games, we can use the Google. It's better than the Google Cloud. It's a little step closer to the end user, but it acts like the Google Cloud, but closer. And then we can have games streamed off of that where there are no nodes, or if we have a surge in users in an area there are nodes, then we can use them as a backup system. So that's one of the ways we'll be using them. I'm sure there's going to be others once the tech team starts talking to them.
Well, I was going to say, even taking out the tech team, Google is one of the biggest companies in the world. You know, we're now in their business partnership program. So there's connections into business partners, there's connections into organizations, there's VCs, there's investment partners that we get recommended into. And I think one of the things that obviously we can't talk about, we can talk about Google, you know, because that's announced, it's all signed, blah, blah, blah. But there are, you know, I'm going to say this again, there are 3 others in the background who are maybe not, well, definitely not as big as Google, but not far off. You know, we're talking 10, 20, 30, you know, billion turnover companies that we are talking to, who are talking about helping us in the same way. And I think with Google and these Web 2 businesses, first of all, it gives validity to the Web 3 business, but secondly, it means that we work not within this circle which we love, which is the Web 3 space, but we're working in a bigger environment. You know, I mean, I don't know what the numbers are about how many people have, you know, Web 3 crypto wallets at the moment, but you know, what is it? It's going to be low compared to the rest of the world.
All right, let's jump into the Unreal question, the Epic question. Why don't we have a partnership with Unreal yet?
Because we don't want it. They're not good enough. We're going to come back to them when they're good enough, and then we'll let them in. No, I mean, look, imagine. So Epic is, again, it's an insanely big business. There are applications going into their grant program and their partnership program. You know, I met a really good guy who's their head of the US for one of their partnership schemes. And he was like, look, we get thousands and thousands of responses a week. Yeah. So you've got to go through a process with them. They don't just accept anyone straight away. There has to be a really interesting angle. Now, the interesting bit is that when we started talking to him about the transmedia piece, his eyes lit up. The guy was like, this is brilliant. He goes, this is amazing. We need to be talking about stuff. I was in Valencia last week at it's called Weird Market. And it's basically, it's a combined marketplace of animation, gaming. They even have board games and stuff like that. So it's a multimedia space. And the presentation we did was on transmedia. And basically, we're actually in the transmedia section. But it was very much kind of, okay, you know, I was saying to him, you need to go to this space and you need to talk to them about the transmedia space. Now, this kind of connection, it makes Epic a bigger business. It doesn't make them a gaming engine. It makes them a gaming and animation engine, which probably will make them one of the biggest companies in the world unless they get bought. So obviously, look, these conversations are in process, but it's not a, you know, tick a box, you know, let's just basically fill some bits in and they announce 50,000 partnerships in one go. On the other hand, we don't want to be with a business where they just basically announce partnerships for the sake of it. It's like there has to be a fight. There has to be a reason why they want to be with us. Otherwise, a partnership is a complete waste of time, in my opinion.
Well, the following question was like, what about development studios? The kind of like, there's dozens of great gaming studios out there. Why are we announcing a new partnership every week? And I can speak a little bit of that too, but I don't know if you want to take it first.
No, you go for it, and I'll follow up.
Yeah, it's just a couple of things, right? There's a sunk cost in the amount of time it takes to have that first meeting, have the second meeting, draft up the partnership and all that stuff. But more than that, we've spoken to so many games who are like, listen, in the last cycle, we got burned by signing up a whole bunch of partners that didn't turn into anything, and we don't like to attach our names. We don't want to attach our brand or give our credibility up to another one of those. So prove it to us first. It's really what it came down to, which is really why we took the roadmap and changed it around so that we could prove it to them first. It's funny. I spent years telling everybody that I was an artist, right? And everyone's like, yeah, you draw funny cartoons. I'm like, no, I'm an actual artist. Until I did my first gallery show, no one wanted to believe me, but I couldn't blame them because they hadn't ever done it before. So this is really very much the same thing. Until we actually can show them that we can stream a game at low latency through Telegram and through a URL, they're just not going to believe it. So fortunately, we're at this point now. Now it's a matter of just scaling it up and getting it out to more people. And then, but at the same time, again, we don't want to it's going to still be a little while until we have the full network up and running. And we're trying to go. The question we oftentimes get asked is, how do you make sure that you have plenty of the nodes are profitable for people? Is there plenty demand for the amount of nodes that you sell into the market? We talk about the chicken and the egg, right? So we're trying to get some games out there, sell some nodes, get some more games out there, sell some more nodes. So we want to kind of keep this thing in balance without, selling a bunch of nodes to people and then have them not make any money off it, and then throw it away and never use it again. That would be kind of sucky for us.
Well, that's what a lot of these node DePIN companies have done in the past. I mean, you and I have had this conversation a number of times. I was an investor in Pocket. They did no demand on the front end, or actually free on the front end. So all they did was just produce more tokens, give the tokens to people. The token went down from $1 value to $0. Once we're up and running and once the nodes are out, we're not producing any new tokens. So, the idea being is, well, not even the idea, what is going to happen is that those tokens get produced and they get paid out to people, and people get real value out of it, as opposed to, just ticking some boxes.
Oddly enough, I was filling in another form today. I was asking, like, what are our key risks and things. And one of the key risks that I wrote down is a risk is that the node, someone else moves into this space, launches a whole bunch of nodes, they end up being not profitable or the technology not working, and then we get painted with that broad brush of this technology can't work. Now we know it can work because we've got it working already, but it's easy for someone from the outside to look at it and go, well, if those guys failed and you guys say you're in the same field that they're in, then you must also are going to fail. So that's
we're already seeing that a little bit, aren't we, with some of the nodes where people are like, well, how does that work? But I think this is where the slow, logical supply and demand model works, because as soon as we get those first 10,000 out, people are going to start making money, and good money, and then they're going to go, this is amazing. They're going to start, well, maybe they will share it with the friends, maybe they won't. Maybe they'll buy another laptop, which is probably what I would do. I'd buy another laptop and another node, not tell anyone, and then you start doubling your revenue, So just reading some of the stuff, especially linking movies. Yeah, that's cool. The linking movies thing is amazing, by the way. I'll give you a little bit of an example in a minute. But no, I think you're right here. I also think that, with the partnership side of it, we are talking to a lot of people, but we don't want to just announce partnerships for the sake of it. There's one organization, BitLayer. I'm sure you guys know them. They're a tier 2 on Bitcoin. They're amazing. They're really doing well. Every time we talk to them, we're like, great, how can we do a partnership? And we sort of can't. We like them. They like us. They're, the founders and original investor in YOM. But if we announce a partnership, we're going to be announcing a partnership just for the sake of having a partnership. We want to make sure that when we're having partnerships, it's like, right, where is the value add for them and where is the value add for us? And the final bit I think on this is these, the gaming studios. We definitely don't want to be signing up thousands of gaming studios at the front end, because we've done no kind of signups whatsoever. And we've got 25 gaming studios. We've got one of India's largest animation studios who's desperate to work with us, and they've got you know, as a quote you say, is they've got 20 million viewers on one of their channels who basically they want to create games for. And then on top of that, you know, there's the Web 2 gaming studios that we're talking to that are 4, 5, 20 billion, you know, market caps. We need to basically marry the two perfectly to make sure things happen. A quick message from JL as well, actually, about talking about metaverses. 100%. Yeah, I think the narrative for next year will come back to metaverses. You know, it's but they're not going to be in the same context. And Jeff will probably you'll agree with me on this. It's not going to be in the context that people imagine it. You know, it's very different. Social spaces, individual on a URL. You know,
I've said before that, including the project that I was on, and I'm still you know, fond of them. I think they do great things. Yep. But it seemed like many of the metaverse spaces in the previous wave were trying to jump from step 1 to step 12 without doing steps 2 through 11, right? And step 2 through 11 are really about starting small, having small worlds, and then adding those small worlds together. I think what we have is a technology that allows for that, because you can have a small world on this URL and then another one on this URL, and we already have our code already lets you go from one URL to another without leaving the 3D space. So we are building, again, the backbone to what will become the metaverse. You'll be able to go from the Red Bull website as your character, as your avatar, you know, in the 3D space, walking around Red Bull store, and then walk into the Coca-Cola store and never leave 3D, just moving to a different URL.
Do you know the one I love is the visual that you have that comes up in the first video, which is your ape playing poker. And I tell you what I visualize, right? I visualize your ape playing poker. I joined as my roughneck from Martians versus Roughnecks, my previous project and stuff, and I still love those guys, still in with it as well. I joined as that, and we sit and play poker. Yeah. And then we go to a little button. The fridge is there. I open the fridge and I go, you know, my locale, which is getting sponsored to Jeff, so Jeff gets money for it. I click on Budweiser, yeah, and I get Bud delivered by Glovo to my house, yeah, 6 beers. I then click on the wall, which is Domino's, you know.
The only problem with this scenario
just feels like really perfect.
Yeah. The problem with the scenario is I'm going to want to play my music and you're going to want to play your music. You have to put up with, in the space that we're in, I'll play my country music and you'll have to listen to it.
Can we do this? I wonder if you could have segregation. Because if you think about it, right, you can segregate within the space. So you could be sitting at one side listening to your drivel music, and I'll sit at mine listening to the cool stuff, you know? I like country western, by the way, Jeff, so we're all good, you know?
Let's see, what did we not cover? There's one last question, and it's about our mods in the mod space, because, you know, in our community space, Telegram anyways, it feels like some of the stuff is really problematic, and I'm actually digging into it to find out to what level are we using bots, if at all, or is it just a translation issue? Because again, our mods are coming from other places in the world, and they have to use translate software to kind of get their message across. It does. I think you're saying too. It feels robotic to him. Feels robotic to me. I've got messages into that group. I'm trying to hear back.
To be honest, I was the same, and I definitely think there's an interesting one. There's one person that the comment was about, and I know for a fact that he's not, because he's been engaging with me directly. But again, look, I think what we want is as much real engagement as possible. But I think, guys, come into the community, come and engage with us, you know, ask questions, find out what's going on, you know.
I'm curious about this too, and I'd like to hear it in the Telegram, especially, guys. Please jump in there. I've heard conflicting things. Hey, don't make it about, you know, pet pictures and memes. Only focus on the project. And I've heard other people say, no, if you focus only on the project, it's too boring, and I want to kind of make it a space that I go to every day that I come and enjoy. I don't know which one's going to win out.
Well, me personally, I mean, as you can probably tell by the fact that I'm sitting here drinking beers, having fun, and really enjoying myself, and loving talking to everyone, and loving showing the passion that we have for the business. I'm like meme coins and cat memes, you know. That's
I am too. But I like showing off, like, you know, what I got going on over here. But again, that could be just my own narcissism. I don't know.
You're not narcissistic. Don't worry. Definitely 100%.
You haven't seen my first art line.
Okay. Don't send it on the group chat. Just send it to me. No, that's great. Look, I think the community makes everything for us. And I think what the community is looking for, you know, we can help with. I think we need the community to do not to do anything, to do more engagement. I think I'm really excited actually thinking about it, about having that clipped weekend where we can let people play the game and go on one by one. Jorah's going to be kicking our ass now, isn't he? He's going to be like, "What?
I don't know.
How am I going to do that? We've got to
You
have
say
the
that.
matchmaker ready for the weekend." You know,
He gets
he's
excited
going to be.
too. I mean, he. How
No, I
many
know he
times have we
does. I know
said
he
to
does.
York,
Yeah.
"Can we do this?" And he's like, "No, that'll take 3 months," and then you find out like a week later, "Oh, I did it over the weekend." Right.
Hey, I
So
think we've got. I think we caught on to him. By the way, I think we need to make sure when he says 3 months, it means 3 days.
oh,
So then we need
he's
to say,
definitely
listen,
doing
it
the
needs to be
Scotty.
done tomorrow. He
Yeah,
knows what
yeah.
he's doing. That guy.
He's doing the Scotty thing from Star Trek, right? Telling us he can't get it done, and then gets it done in an hour.
Yeah, we'll never do it. You know, we're all
Yeah.
gonna die.
I was going to try the
Look,
Scottish accent. Glad that you didn't. I didn't.
but I think, yeah. Look, I think let's get these gaming things. Let's get some engagement. Let's start people getting excited about the project. You know, let's start sharing things on Twitter, YouTube. The
See,
more
that'll be the
that gets out
temptation.
there, the better.
The word again, because we can only let so many sessions play at once. The temptation is going to be when people play at once, they're going to want to send it on to all their friends and say, "See, this is the project I was telling you should get involved in." And I just want to protect ourselves a little bit from having it overloaded, but it won't overload. It'll just hang up, and we don't want to give a bad experience for the first time
No,
trying.
no, definitely. But I think also as long as people understand that's the way it is, because there's one node running. I mean, look, the guys, the guys that we're doing the game, the partnership with, the domination, they're talking about doing lots of nodes and basically enabling us in that way. So maybe that's where around. A couple of questions, a couple of things I was going to say actually that came up in one of the chats that I saw actually. One of the ones was like, guys, please do something about the price. Please make it happen. And there's a thing within crypto which is it's like, please devs, sort the price. The point is we're building a proper project. Yeah. We can't talk about price because it's legal. It's something that we can't talk about. But look, if we're doing our things in the right way, we're delivering proper use. We could do dodgy things to increase the price, but that's not how we work. We do things which is delivering in the right way, the right product and the right technology ahead of other people. Everything else will follow. That's point one. So I just say, guys, it is what it is, and we're all WAGMI is basically it. Yeah. The second thing is marketing. Yeah. I mean, again, look, with marketing, there's a marketing strategy, and it's like, what are we trying to achieve by marketing? Okay. There's got to be key definable elements to it. There's got to be a strategy behind it. If all we're trying to do is pump the token price, to 10 cents, so then everyone can sell, and then it drops right down to 3 cents, 2 cents, 5 cents, 17 cents, whatever the number is, it doesn't really matter. It's like, it's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. We should be doing marketing at exactly the right times, like where we do the node launch. We do marketing at exactly the right times when we have, big elements coming. And this is what we're building towards. We would be doing knee-jerk reactions just because people are like, oh my God, I see my bag has gone down 5% yesterday. You need to do something about it. Do some marketing. Really, if you think about it logically, all we're doing is we're attracting in new money to then enable people to sell, and then the price to go down again. It doesn't make sense, So the marketing is coming, everything else is coming. Stick with it. Basically, that's my feeling.
All right.
Any other thoughts
we
on
are
that, Jeff?
getting very close to that 1 hour mark, and we wanted to cut it there. Do you have any parting words of wisdom to the fans in the crowd? I mean, again, let's hold ourselves to the idea that we get. I was going to mention too. Sort of the Medium article came out about the roadmap. So I would advise. Hopefully people will read that, right? So go to our Medium.
Yeah.
I try to put a Medium article out as often as possible, and actually, they end up being really helpful. Right? I send them over to that head of that one fund. He's now mining those Medium articles for his thesis paper. So, but that's nice.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Nice.
the most recent Medium article goes over the roadmap, the reasons for us moving the marketing to the later milestone, those kinds of things. So I encourage people to find us there.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I mean, the only thing I'd say is that, the development that's gone on in the last 10 months is insane. I mean, what I would say is please don't expect the same kind of development that we're talking about today to have happened by Friday next week. Although I think Friday next week is it going to be Thursday next week, I think, if I'm right?
Yeah, so I'm changing. Yeah, I got to change these to Thursdays because I think it'll be more people go. This time on Friday, people are going up to the bars and
Agreed.
pubs and everything anyway. So we'll do it on Thursday. It's when I used to do my laundry when I had to go to a laundromat. You always go Thursday night, so that way your Friday nights are free to go out and party.
That sounds perfect. And I was going to say, I think we've got an interesting party joining us next Thursday, by the way. So they're confirmed, which we won't obviously tell people about. But definitely, we'll put a Twitter message in, connect in, make sure that you follow the restream, which is included in the Twitter Spaces. So again, I think, every week this is going to be good stuff. And the idea being is if there's any ideas where you think, actually, guys, I'd really love to know about X. And it might be, and I suppose one of the points here I was going to say is it might be a kind of, I want to know about how gaming DePIN is going to change in the next 20 years. Yeah. Or I want to know about how games have developed over the last 15 years. Whatever you think, or how DePIN's going, or whatever. The plan is to get more kind of partners on board, guest speakers, etc. So again, the ones we've got next week are gaming orientated, but we'll post that. But have a think around, what you guys would like to see, basically.
And then we'll have you and we'll go back to having you and Yord on a regular basis too, to do these kind of conversations as well, because I think this is fun too. We don't get a chance to just gab for an hour, you and I, unless we're like
the old days. We used to do it lots. Yeah, no, definitely 100%. I'm in.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back again next week, next Thursday. And until then, y'all be good, and we'll see you on the Twitter Spaces and the Telegram.
Let's go.